I've looked on Google Maps and there is supposedly nothing within miles of my house. So who else is out here?
Man, there's some creepy stuff out there.
What I've been hearing are not auditory hallucinations, so I feel like this is an essential piece of equipment at this point. Yeah! Stay away from my house, you freaks!
Who's out there? My name is Josh Criss, and with Leaving D.C., it kind of was similar to where I was at the time. I had lived in Washington, D.C. for nearly 20 years. I'd had enough of the city, and I decided to buy a house in the middle of nowhere out in West Virginia. One night, also like the character in the movie, I was trying to sleep, and I heard a hideous scream outside my window. I didn't know what I had heard. I thought it was a person at first. It really scared me. It was unexpected. So I eventually got over it because I was living out there by myself. And I thought to myself, what if instead of that being the only incident, what if maybe it happened again and things started getting worse? How scary that would be. And I had a little bit of a background in video and audio editing. So I thought, well, I'm bored out here. I've got plenty of free time. Maybe I'll try to make a film about that happening to some character. And that's where the idea came from. In the film, I exaggerated the isolation. I made it sound like it was 4 hours away from Washington, D.C., and that there were no houses within 6 miles of the location. But in reality, it was 2 hours from Washington, D.C., in the town of Capon Bridge. And I did have neighbors, although they had vacation homes and they were only there every couple of weeks for the weekend, something like that. So most of the time I was completely isolated, but there were times, it wasn't as isolated as the film made it out to be. It was similar to my real situation. No, it was easy enough to do all by myself because, as you know, the premise was of a lone person sending video updates to his support group out back in Washington. So it was easy enough for me to make it realistic by just putting a camera on a tripod. I filmed the entire thing on a little Sony Handycam. And so it was just me. I wasn't a professional filmmaker by any means, but I had experience with video and audio editing from my work. I had a documentary on hang gliding that I had done way back in 2003. So I had enough experience that I knew if I kept it simple and didn't try to get too ambitious with special effects and that sort of thing, that I would be able to do what I wanted. In general, I'm really not that big a fan of horror and found footage. I loved, the classic Blair Witch. I think that's one of the greatest scary films of all time. I saw it in the theater back in '99, and it's really the only film that genuinely scared me as an adult. Everything scared me when I was a kid. You watch movies and you're scared to sleep in a room without the light on for a week, that type thing. But Blair Witch was the only movie that scared me as an adult. And it definitely inspired me with this movie, thinking that, well, they barely even showed anything, but it was still terrifying. That's the approach I'd like to take, where to leave it up to the imagination of the viewers, that type of thing. And I also liked, you probably have seen it, the movie The Witch. That's another really good one, I think. I kind of did it for myself to keep me busy. I never thought that this many people would see it or like it. I sent it to a couple of film festivals that were that focused on horror, including the Nevermore Film Festival in North Carolina. And it got a good reception there. I went and watched it in the audience, which was fun. And then Amazon Prime accepted it. I wasn't sure, I'm not sure what their standards were at that time, but they accepted it. And since then, it's been viewed about 150,000 times, I think. It's gotten, and people send me Facebook messages saying they liked it, and you know, it's neat. It's certainly more than I ever expected, and I'm always glad to hear that people enjoyed it.
I called you last week, and I said I'd been hearing strange noises outside my window, like people were outside my house. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Oh man. See? I'm gonna be just fine.